See, I've never been an overly cynical man. Despite the suffering that we all experience on a day-to-day basis, the chores we have to do, the sheer act of existing can be certainly painful. But as Melina says in Elden Ring, I believe there still is an undeniable beauty in life.
Huh? What's it all been for, eh? All of our fighting. We struggle on and on. But at the end of the day, it never ends.
As long as we live, all we can do is fight on. That's not going to change.
You saying there's no escape?
Depends how you look at it. Sourcing ingredients and growing crops. You'd call doing those things a struggle, wouldn't you?
You say some weird stuff.
Fight, struggle, they're just words. And what's important is not the words, it's what you do.
However ruined this world has become, however mired in torment and despair, life endures. Births continue. There is beauty in that, is there not?
In Chapter 4, Taion mentions how if you don't want to hurt others in this world, you will end up denying your own right to survive. Eventually, you will come to the conclusion that the world might be better off without your presence. As we observed in M's homecoming, what do you do when your existence inflicts pain and suffering to other people? Just as Taion says, ending one's life is thoughts that M was considering well before the homecoming, feeling imprisoned and shackled. She was disgusted with what she represented as Moebius, gorging themselves on humanity's flames just to delay their inevitable ruin.
You could throw yourself off, but it wouldn't be enough. Such is the fate of a Moebius. You should know by now.
Before we go forward with some of the objections Noah will put forth to this argument, I want to set the tone with Taion's explanation, because it is important that in a world where you don't have the will to choose, in a world like Ionios, sometimes you might feel powerless. You might feel so weak that you can sympathize with the idea that if you can't choose how to live your own life, maybe you might be able to choose how you die, in what conditions and when. Exercising your free will in your last moments as an individual, breaking the shackles of control and tyranny Moebius inflicts on people, a feeling that Kamuravi and Ethel felt in their bones with their final duel. Instead of stagnating in life, they were marching on to their death, as ironic as that might sound. The difference was that they were finally able to choose.
The end point of it is suicide.
Say what?
If you don't want to hurt others, you'll end up denying your own right to survive. Eventually, you come to the conclusion that the world may well be better off without your presence. The only resolution, then, is to erase the self, to die. See? Pointless.
Isn't that taking it too far?
Here I come! Kamuravi!
Let us cross blades one last time!
this idea of ending your life is near and dear to Ashera's heart. After all, the homecoming ceremony wasn't always a thing in Aionios. Only after M's pushback did Zed conceded and decided it is better to grant all 10-term soldiers a way out of the system. You might mistakenly think that Moebius losing souls with this homecoming ceremony is a net negative for them, that it does not benefit them. But as we'll see soon with Juniper's Ascension, homecoming is what precisely enables Moebius to gather as much flame energy as possible per death. In the past, 10-term soldiers were given a brutal death, getting their heads chopped off by their consuls directly. There was no homecoming, there was no salvation, there was no offseeing. As a result, they were reintroduced into the cycle of life, but not without some serious side effects. As can be observed with Ashera, the pain in her neck gets harder and harder to bear as homecoming nears. In Aionios, the birthing pots reintroduce the soul back into the physicality in each reincarnation. You might think that this body is just yours, but that's not true. It is carrying the memories and emotions of all the previous reincarnations in the collective unconscious. The neck pain of Ashera and Uni's memories of her past lives are a manifestation of this truth. As also said in Xenosaga, our consciousness and memories are not transfixed in a single body or location in space. The idea that they all pool into a collective unconscious that can be accessed by anyone at any time. And this is precisely the domain Uni and Ashera tapped into in Xenoblade 3.
Yes. You see, a world of unbroken memories slumbers at the depths of your consciousness. Cosmos has sensed this and recreated it for you. Because this world, it is Cosmos's memory as well.
It can't be Cosmos's memory. That's not possible.
Memories don't belong solely to one person. And they are not fixed to one location.
I meant that the original Cosmos was
destroyed during that incident 2 years ago. And you lost someone dear to you as well. Joyful memories are one half of a whole. Only when they are combined together with the other half can your consciousness truly take form. So you see, you must accept the entirety of your memories.
Accept them? All of my memories?
Memories don't belong solely to one person. This idea here was the exact same objection Uni used to disarm Ashera's nihilistic worldview. The pain in Ashera's neck was so unbearable that she wanted a way out. And even though Uni could sympathize with her desire to end her life, ultimately this action will have consequences for the next reincarnations. While trying to take the easy way out, Ashera might make the pain even harder to bear for the next Ashera, as their lives are linked in this world with this collective unconscious. Their memories, their emotions are entangled. As Uni points out, our bodies and minds are not just our own.
But Ashera, both of our lives, they don't belong to just us, you know. You've got me there. You put me in a bind. Guess I can't go dying just yet.
This is certainly one of the stronger objections to Tayon's nihilistic worldview in Chapter 4. If not for yourself, you need to keep on living for others. And this is just a beginning. We need to talk about how the environment and this world is what leads people into despair. It is a manipulative system that intentionally takes away your sense of agency, your individuality, so that doing cruel things to one another is not a luxury, but a requirement. As that says, why do you recoil from taking lives? This is the motive power that fuels Aionios. When cruelty becomes the norm by a higher authority, when you don't have the will to choose, when your life depends on another's death, can you really be blamed for the actions that you take?
Ending people's lives like it doesn't matter. Ugh, what a sick joke.
Their word for people like that? Supervillain pon. It be the extreme bad guy.
Oh, Noah and Mio and friends. Supervillain pon.
You're labeling us?
Labeling. Because friends used to end lives also. That not make them supervillain pon?
I mean, it's not like we ever had a choice or anything. It was them or us.
So when no choice, not fall under definition then.
None of us ever fought because we wanted to. It's just how it worked. How people worked. And the world.
So, world is supervillain pon.
Huh?
Since it make everyone do nasty things. World is bad guy.
The world is bad. Huh, I never thought of it like that.
Now that you mention it, what in the world are we even here for?
Just as Manana says the world is supervillain pon, in Aionios, Moebius is everywhere. Their ideology is so omnipresent that there is no escape. It is as if this world is made up of selfishness and despair in its social and hierarchical systems, with the flame clocks, colonies, offseers, consuls, and wars. See, this is why people like M, Ashera, and Tyon feel so defeated in the face of it. With the Grim Reaper persona X uses, representing death in Uni's quest, Moebius have offered the soldiers a bit of comfort to high colony ranks like silver and gold, in exchange for snuffing out the flames of their enemies. To compensate for the meaninglessness of life and the cruelty of this world, they've given humans goals on a day-to-day basis they can work towards. Just like in real life, ranks define your worth in a social structure. Gold colonies, in comparison to dirt, have access to better food and pure water from the castle, more resources under their belt. They fight with more passion than ever before because now they have something to lose. The despair and depression that Tyon, M, and Ashera fell into is, at least in theory, is being prevented by these goals and ranks for the colonies. Similar to how 9-to-5 white collars are living their lives day to day, paycheck to paycheck, the final reward, the homecoming ceremony, is precisely how Moebius keeps the 9-to-5 rat race going. The flame of hope is used like a carrot on a stick, promising them salvation at the end of their journeys if they can get to their 10th terms. With the desire to be free from this samsaric reincarnation, their suffering now serves a greater purpose. Now it has meaning. As a result, on the battlefield, their life flame burns even brighter than usual, which is a fact we will observe in Juniper's Ascension.
You've been so desperate to raise them. Just for a bit of comfort, you snatched away the lives of your enemies. First, we have the lowly dirt, then there's tin. Tins go up to copper. Then you get iron. After that comes steel. Then you get the badass silver. And finally, you've hit the top, gold. You've been falling over each other, trying to kill each other day by day.
But why? What did you even make the ranks for?
Because what else is gonna motivate you, eh?
What?
You humans, you need some kind of goal in your little lives. You want to give your blades an upgrade? You want to eat some nice food? Or you want to live longer?
You evil!
All we did was give you those goals. And while you're trying to rise up, your life force grows brighter, so shiny. Isn't it wonderful? But then, once you've reached the top, there's nowhere to go but down. And that's no good, is it? Then it's harvest time. One last gasp of defiance. Then we take what's stored up at your life's end.
So then, you're saying the gold rank's nothing but a sham?
I just told you, it's to motivate you.
Oh yeah, you motivated us real good. You forced us to fight without ever knowing the truth.
Huh? What are you even... You've done a good job tearing the place up yourselves. Nobody's ever forced you to do anything. You guys, you like a spot of murder as much as anyone.
There's nothing to like about it. How could anyone like it? We live in fear, knowing nothing but fighting. We wanted to reach gold so we wouldn't have to fight. But you took even that from us.
Because you're idiots, surely. Just think about it real hard for 1 second. Who gave up the right to think for themselves? You did.
What a load of crap! You're the ones who never left us any room to think about our actions.
You haven't got 2 neurons in your heads. All you have are the things we gave you. And you have the gall to complain?
Arsehole! You ain't getting away with this! How can our lives mean so snuffing little to you?
You can't keep getting away with this! You can't keep getting away with it!
The purpose of the homecoming ceremony wasn't just to make M happy. Just as X says, this was also one of the goals they've given to humans, to get them to focus. Not unlike the colony ranks, homecoming benefited Moebius, even if souls were lost from circulation. To understand how this is possible mathematically, we need to look at Juniper. Just like Tyon and M, she feels sympathetic to the idea of ending her life. In this world of pain and suffering, hope can be the furthest thing from your mind, as when Noah and the party meets Juniper, she has this resigned aura about life. Even if their flame clocks are on the brink of depletion, they're not even trying to survive out here. Colony Tau, deep in the forest, is as run down as it gets. As an abandoned colony, they're continually starved of sufficient life forces. Their consuls rarely visits them. And unlike what you might believe, Juniper's resignation to death is not arising from a place of strength, but of desperation. As our party tries to show how Juniper is living her life with despair, just like how M was doing.
We all have to perish someday. If our lives should expire, then we'll sink into silence, darkness, oblivion. We'll return to the earth.
Yes, but you can't just...
The land will take us, and we will simply be. That's how it is at Colony Tau. No one will ever think of us, and yet here we are. Slowly but surely, we are withering. We don't always find the nutrition that we need to live. If Colony Tau cannot accumulate the vital flames it needs, then it proves only that we were too weak. And in nature, the weak are destined to perish.
The logic would dictate that nature is pushing you to become stronger.
If we set you free, you won't have to worry about all this crap.
We neither worry nor fear for what may come to pass.
But how do you live without hope?
It will spell the end of the story that our predecessors weaved for generations.
The monsters attack the camp, almost killing one of their own in the process. And this right here is the critical moment in the narrative where Juniper shows signs of attachment and suffering, when she acted all high and mighty, not being afraid of death and supposedly accepting the natural flow of existence before.
I suppose it's strange of me to talk about the laws of nature when I fear losing my friends.
Not at all. Honestly, that seems like the most natural thing of all.
When you told me that you would release us from the flame clock, I thought that if you really were telling the truth, it would make life easier. But at the same time, I began to hate the fact that I was looking for a way out. Looking up at our clock, seeing the life ebbing away, I'd already accepted my fate. And letting go of that status quo, wretched though it was, after so long, I was scared of what might happen if we did.
See, it is easy to talk, but when push comes to shove, your sense of self won't stop clinging to your loved ones, even if it accepted its own demise. Whether those are your friends, family, or children, nothing exists in isolation. Your death will affect those around you, and Juniper, for the first time maybe, showed signs of humanity and emotion. This moment right here is the time we need to get a better grasp into Noah's worldview when it comes to the matters of life and death. While Tyon was arguing how ending your life is the only rational action in a world you can't choose, Noah pushes back with the moon analogy. Does the moon continue to exist even when there's no one there to perceive it? Does the tree falling down make a sound when there's no one there to hear it? These are all common objections to Solipsism. The philosophical idea that only one's mind is sure to exist and nothing else. Not even this moon. In Solipsism, this moon wouldn't exist if you aren't there to perceive it. The tree wouldn't make a sound if you were not there to hear it. The reason why this is relevant is that it refers to how nihilism that Tyon argues for, ending your life being the most compassionate option, is similarly taking things to the other extreme. It alludes to the mistaken notion that the world Ionios defines who they are, and seemingly they don't have any choice in the matter. This is not necessarily true. Noah objects and says that it is we who imbue the world with meaning. Even in desperation, we can change what we perceive by our interpretations. Noah says to Tyon here that you are not a victim of your external circumstances. Why is it that the moon shines? Just because we're watching? Of course not. The reality exists, and yet we're the ones that give meaning to it. The moon looks a bit dim tonight, or looks brighter than usual. As Viktor Frankl says in his book The Man's Search for Meaning, between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. This is something that Juniper, Ashera, and even Tyon weren't able to fully grasp in their nihilistic worldview. Isn't it ironic that when you're young, you can't wait to grow up and be an adult? But when you're older, you long for the times when you were a child. Is it flowing or is it stopped? You're not making any sense, mate. When you're young, you have the health, but not the means to do what you want. But when you're older, you have the means, but not so much the energy or the time. See, the point is we all live with this constant stream of dissatisfaction, moment by moment. We feel like something is missing, even in happiness, never completely satisfied or content. Nihilism is the philosophical position that rejects all religious and moral principles, arguing how this world is intrinsically meaningless, and the attempt to imbue it with meaning is self-delusion at best.
You are simply deceiving yourselves, wishing to divine some meaning from something that is devoid of it.
While Takahashi-san already confirmed how Noah is an Ubermensch fighting against nihilism, but how can that be? Zed is protecting the endless now, not destroying the world like Malus did in All Rest. After all, if you look at the strict definition of nihilism written in the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, it writes, "Nihilism is the belief that all values are baseless and that nothing can be known or communicated. It is often associated with extreme pessimism and a radical skepticism that condemns existence. A true nihilist would believe in nothing, have no loyalties, and no purpose other than perhaps an impulse to destroy." Now that last part, the impulse to destroy, is the endbringer Malus in All the Rest. We all can see the connection. But a misconception about nihilism is that as a worldview, the idea that it can only be expressed with an impulse to destroy is false. As in many ways, Zet behaves like a fusion between Zanza and the Architect in the most twisted way possible. As Moebius, he has a duty to preserve humanity, but also intoxicates it with a sense of divinity as representing humanity's fear himself. It is this unholy union of the two sides of Klaus, Bionis and all the rest. As such, Zed's actions are the inverse of the Architect. While the Architect took the time to appreciate Pneuma in Elysium, hoping that they succeed in preventing humanity's destruction, Zed in Ionios simply sits back in his theater and enjoys witnessing the chaos unfold, watching humans as a bunch of pixels on the screen moving at his amusement.
A world with the freedom to choose!
Not a hollow world of fiction like this one! Everyone wants a reality that they can believe in!
Freedom is nothing more than fiction, a deception. Those with power, those who can choose, think nothing of it. What then of those who cannot choose? What about the meek and frail? Not everyone is granted as many options as you all have.
Zed pays lip service to humanity's well-being as the protector of the endless now, but it is only so to sustain their own existence, not unlike a Zen devil described in spiritual texts. Nietzsche says, quote, "Nihilism, any aim is lacking, any answer to the question why is lacking. What does nihilism mean? That the supreme values devaluate themselves. That is the most extreme form of nihilism, nothingness, the meaningless eternally." Just as Zanza, Malus, and Zet represented logos in their respective games, they all enjoyed hedonism and pleasure, rejecting how humanity should be valued and overall suffering should be reduced. They do not believe in moral values. For them, as long as they're happy, it is good enough for logos. There's this tendency in all of us to reject compassion for everyone else in favor of our circle of friends, family, and loved ones. After all, isn't it true that your friend is more important to you than a stranger walking down the street? Well, similarly, N cared only for M, and the rest of humanity could burn away for all he cared. If Mio gets to live, he would do it all over again. He would become a Moebius, trading one person's life for everyone else. Nietzsche explains the Ubermensch, the self-overcoming, as follows. Every Ubermensch must come to the realization that his life will end in self-destruction, so he abandons the will to live and embraces the will to power. The Ubermensch is the idea of a humanity that, upon with dispensing with objectivist morality, accepting relativism without nihilism to create value systems, new morality if needed, and thereby recreating himself as a self-actualized being. Nihilism, for Nietzsche, is the collapse of values that leads to stagnation and sickness. And ironically, the Ubermensch is the ultimate self-destruction at your own terms. Exactly what Noah and the party of Ouroboros is representing. In order to forge a more progressive worldview and morality, you need to first destroy the existing established worldview, the olden ways, the olden mortals, as Alpha would like to say.
And he failed to realize that his conscience led him astray. An atavistic delusion. It is common among the old.
If you really hate this world, why aren't you trying to tear it down yourself? Change it with your own hands.
I told you, I'll wreck every last thing.
You can do it differently. There's still a way you can change. And that way, the world will fall away by itself.
Is imbuing the moon with meaning really self-delusion? Is saying how it's a bit dim tonight or shining brighter than usual meaningless? The perspective of the Pneuma believes that Logos already imbues the world with meaning by perceiving it to be a vile, filthy, and dangerous world. Their impulse to exploit humanity by storing their life energy in the flame clocks is already a result of their meaning. Because there is no way for any of us to truly live without meaning. True meaninglessness is such a horrifying thing that not even Moebius truly grasped it.
I hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it! This one world!
Out of the void, we all need to construct something, some sort of meaning, some sort of reason to live. And make no mistake, the Moebius is doing that. They look at the world and see something completely different than what Noah is seeing, Mio, Gondor, Niall, Matthew.
If the Queen is wrong and the world is not created anew, what happens then?
Huh?
What if this is some flight of fancy? What if you've been taken in, staking your lives on a whim? Who's accountable? I ask you that.
When that hour is upon me, I want to look back and smile. Then I'll be good. And to come out smiling, we all have to choose where our lives take us. For our future selves. And yet, lack of choice is enough to break a person. They struggle, suffer, clawing their way through endless fog. A world without choice, that's wrong. If death is a lie in this world, it deserves to end.
So you'd rather perish along with the world?
See, I actually get Shania. Unlike her, the soldiers are able to try again for a better life, reborn in the cradles, hoping that maybe this reincarnation would do the trick. But the grass is always greener on the other side. It is important to take a moment here to truly understand Shania, because being a human as a city person must come with a heavy burden that we don't usually discuss. Imagine yourself as one, a city person who can live upwards of 60 years or more, just like Guernica Van Damme. 6 times longer than your average soldier. But now there's this urgency to do something with your life, to amount to something, now that you have only one single fragile lifetime.
Is that Titania's gun, Shania?
Yeah. She's not around anymore. I have to do what I can.
Shania, put it down.
Huh?
Put the gun down.
Okay.
Wouldn't you prefer something a little more like this?
Huh? But...
Daddy just wants to see his daughter enjoying doing the things she loves the most.
Papa.
Go on.
Just look at the next scene where her mother goes on about how pathetic of a child Shania turned out to be, while Monica was barely able to restrain herself from doing something she would regret. Senna says how she's baffled, how the warmth they felt at the hospital doesn't last, and mothers aren't actually closer to their child at all. She thought how that connection was the answer they were looking for as Ouroboros. It is an illusion. It is true that a child is born of the parents, but that's all it is. Unfortunately, Shania wasn't able to use the brush her father gave her because of her mother. Which leads us to Chris's point to Noah. Even if you get rid of Moebius in Origin's New World, the selfishness and lack of empathy will continue. People like Shania's mother will continue to infect their children with low self-esteem, jealousy, and hatred. Noah has no answer for these people, and that is the ultimate weakness of Ouroboros.
You dream of living out your days in peace. You want to protect the natural way of life. All that shite is a right afforded only to the powerful! What about those who can't live in peace, huh? Are they meant to survive in all this chaos until the very day they die? I have not one thing to my name. I don't even have the power to choose. Screw it.
Amid the rubble and the flames, Jorn felt that his life was lesser than Lan's. He pushed him and killed himself just to feel appreciated by his friends. Finally, to not be so useless anymore, he thought, so that his pathetic life, so to speak, meant something at the end.
Why did you do it? Trade your life for mine. You could have ignored me, got away safe.
Maybe if I die instead of him, I'll please him? Perhaps that's what I was thinking.
Noah was correct in that we need to understand why it happened, why Oren became Moebius, and only by moving on from blaming ourselves or pointing the finger at others can we truly start asking the right questions.
The world doesn't just vanish because you've closed your eyes.
What?
The moon. Think about it. Why is it that the moon shines? Just because we're watching? Of course not. Even if humans were gone, it would shine on, illuminating the land beneath. And yet, we're the ones that give meaning to it. We say bit dim tonight, or looks brighter than usual, eh? Similarly, we can now imbue the world with meaning or change it. It's a privilege we were lucky to obtain.
And that's the power of Ouroboros.
We're obliged to use it. We can make a difference.
In Juniper's Ascension quest, we learn the truth regarding the suffering and pain the Consul Yu inflicted on the colony Tau. As she says, life is not a bed of roses. In her mind, the thorns of a rose is what makes the flame of a soldier shine brighter and brighter. That pain, suffering, clinging to life is what allows more flame to be harvested at the end of their lives, which explains the purpose of the homecoming ceremony. See, Moebius have realized that the soldiers are not fighting with all they got, when the ultimate reward is just getting their heads chopped off by their consuls. All of their efforts were in vain if all that's going to happen is getting reintroduced into the circulation. Therefore, the flame that gets generated at the end of their lives is very low. Let's just give it a random number, like 10 units per soldier. Now that was before homecoming ceremony. But interestingly, after this new homecoming ceremony idea was first introduced, every soldier was given hope that one day, if they can survive till their 10th terms, their souls can be now freed forever out of the circulation in a form that Moebius can never use. Moebius has used humanity's desire for existence as a weapon against them. Just as Consul Yu alludes to, their flames will burn brighter at the end. Instead of harvesting only 10 units of flame per soldier, the hope for salvation allows for 10,000 units to be harvested per soldier. Their flame shines that much more when there's a carrot at the end of the road.
Pleasures and sorrows, meetings and partings, their roots are the same. Tolerance of existence is at the heart of them all.
You want me to frolic with them?
You shall find there's no such thing as luxury in this world. Everything buds from but a single thought. That you yourself are here is proof definite thereof. You need not understand. You can simply remain as you are. That is enough.
giving Moebius an overall net positive flame, even if souls are lost from circulation at the end of their homecomings. That's a trade that they accept. This is the profound truth behind why Moebius allows for the homecoming ceremony. It is not because of goodwill. It is simply the most efficient way to gain as much flame energy as possible into their flame clocks. In their own ways, Moebius was trying to compensate for the entropy that is being generated due to the black fogs and the annihilation events that eats away at Ionios, hoping that by harvesting as much flame as possible, they can somehow delay their inevitable ruin.
How do you live without hope? Can't be a coincidence. Talking about avoiding casualties, you know that includes you too, Ethel, don't you? Agnew troops. That's what's hitting us! In terms of sheer power, they're the ones with the advantage. We should avoid a direct confrontation.
To end this, he's toyed with our lives as he pleases for long enough. I did try my best. I couldn't afford to fail. Could it have been something that Moebius did?
For Hegel, it is actually the slave who comes out on top in the long run, in that initial life and death struggle which sets the terms going forward. The I experiences what Hegel calls the fear of death and submits to the other. This I decides he loves life, not terribly unlike Nietzsche's Amor Fati, and concedes the fight. And this initial submission, the slave consciousness, now serves the other's will and works for him. But it is through this very work that eventually he will come to surpass his master. Hegel reasons. On a basic level, this is so because it is the slave who masters objective reality or nature. The slave takes the plants and animals and transforms them through work into meals. The slave transforms with his hands a tree into a table. The slave is most alive. The master, on the other hand, is parasitic, decadent, dependent, stagnant even. Without the slave's recognition, he's not even a master. Without the slave's work, he cannot prosper. He cannot exist. As you know, Zeon, the commander of Colony 9, needs to grow these healthy crops and veggies, but the nature itself resists. Bacteria, viruses, the toxic elements to fend off predators, the desire to survive is evident even in the microcosm, the will to live, as Moebius likes to say. So, naturally, Juniper steps in, the commander of Colony Tau, precisely knows how to survive in a pinch, as their chronically low flame clock, dwindling each day, hardened and pushed them to the brink throughout the years. Farming and growing crops were part and parcel of their lives now. You see, these crops, you pick them as soon as they wilt, even after nurturing to get a better yield. They're not actually dying, but rather making way for new life, much like us.
じゃん、後でこうするべきだったっていうことは簡単だ。でも結果なんて誰にもわからないよ。 わからなくても選択の時は必ず来るし、しなきゃいけない。100人の仲間の命と壁の中の人類の命。団長は選んだんだ。100人の仲間の命を切り捨てることを選んだ。何かを変えることのできる人間がいるとすれば、その人はきっと大事なものを捨てることができる人だ。化け物をもしのぐ必要に迫られたのなら、人間性をも捨て去ることができる人のことだ。何も捨てることができない人には何も変えることはできないだろう。
As all life is built upon some sort of sacrifice. Both Xeon and Juniper should know this, ever since being free from their own flame clocks. Now, the sense of security that the colony rewards, the food and the ammunition once provided is no longer. Like a sheep without its shepherd, you need to fight in order to live still. Even more so than before. It is true that this cruel world Moebius constructed is artificial. Strife and struggle is actually inherent in existence. There is no escape. Even without a flame clock, you still have to struggle, and without paying that price, whatever it may be, the slave can never truly realize its potential. Without sacrifice, there can never be change. Sacrifice can be easily observable and quantifiable in some cases, but it doesn't have to be. See, whenever we look at the world, we make certain judgments as shortcuts to make our chaotic lives easier. Things like knowing who to trust, what to do, when to do. We most often need to make snap judgments, bypassing the prefrontal cortex. Better safe than sorry. But in these cases, we are tunnel-visioned, prejudiced, unwilling to change our perspectives. Not realizing how we might need to sacrifice our safe and habitual ways of looking at the world to make room for more risks and vulnerability. Consul Y says that she saved the colony by killing those monsters and asks the party to fetch these twine turf herbs to get rid of the corpses. When these herbs were thrown into the bonfire to be burned, they acted as a signal of sorts. The signal for monsters to attack. I think by now you can also imagine what she's doing. Consul Y's plans are getting clearer and clearer.
I want them to wallow in regret, to agonize, tremble, suffer, rise, convulse, and then die. All that you are, distilled at the cusp of death to a perfect fraction of unbearable humiliation. However, teetering there on the edge of oblivion is also the moment in which you shine the brightest. The terror of death flickering in your minds, fighting madly in the hope that you still might live. A newborn babe could never hope to match that expression of horror. Only the march of time can crystallize those grimaces of wrath and agony, aged to perfection like a fine wine.
There's an item in Elden Ring that perfectly illustrates what Consul Y is trying to do here. Her job in this colony is to increase the flame per soldier to the highest possible level with strife, agony, and suffering, so that when it's time to die, she will gather the highest flame harvest per soldier. The monsters were intentionally sent to Colony Tau to wreak havoc. When the flame clock was destroyed and they were given the chance to live, Juniper started to fear death and start to suffer. Without realizing, Ouroboros have aided Yu's plans instead. as she has designed a system where, unlike other consoles, quality and the brightness of the flame trumps over quantity, and Juniper was her ultimate guinea pig.
Why do you think that so few make it to homecoming in this pit that none know about or care about? Why do you think there are few threats to your colony, yet your flame clock teeters on the brink of collapse?
Well...
Let me explain it to you in simple terms that even you will be able to understand. I made it that way. It was by my design.
What?
I had the soldiers die when approaching their final term. I conceived your peculiar traditions, and I sent monsters to you. And when your numbers were culled just enough to maintain the colony, I sent you new recruits. When you lacked a source of life with which to fill the clock, I placed monsters of adequate strength for your succor. And it has all been for this moment. The lengths I went to just for today.
We made a promise that we'd survive. And so, the console's twisted games are something I cannot entertain. Life is cruel, isn't it? Just when I stopped waiting for death and began to live for myself, why must it be so hard? It's just as the console said, expecting death would have been so much easier.
You're not wrong. It's not easy. And it never will be. Sure, but it's still a sight better than doing sparkle and giving up.
That, as Nietzsche argues, is Amor Fati, something N wasn't able to do as Moebius. He was so attached to M that, at the risk of severing his conscience forever, he needed to cling to that love just to justify his existence. After all, life was meaningless without her. Takahashi-san is basically asking a hard question to answer. Can you let go of her to start the cycle all over again? All memories erased, meeting new people in a new cycle and to care for them each just as much. Can you do it? While knowing you've lost M, maybe the only person you loved, now lending a hand to the worms like Yorins and Shinais of the world, people you don't actually care that much. If you're honest with yourself, regardless, will you share? Give them some of yours. Will you help them? Will you call that charity or compassion? Will you show it, imagining them who are granted it to be thus satisfied, imagining not a piece of wretchedness to remain? We all live with this pressure, making the best possible choices under duress, living the best life. While there are no losers in the world Moebius offers, there are also no winners. Let's switch gears into this beautiful scene where, at this point in the narrative, Mio is having survivor's guilt regarding Miyabi's sacrifice with a tinge of dissociation from her self-perception, explaining why she was so casual and detached in this scene. After all, she's operating on borrowed time. She only has 3 months to live. 3 months she feels like she never really deserved in the first place.
I'm actually pretty flustered. You defo don't look it. If it looks that way to you, well, that's because I shouldn't even be here. What do you mean? This life's a gift from a dear friend. It should have been me. I should have died out there that day. So this isn't really me. I'm just living on her time. Maybe that's why.
And Mio's suppressed survivor's guilt will inevitably surface in the form of trembles and physical ailments, something that will soon precipitate a rift between her and Noah's relationship. After all, time is ticking. Mio can't afford to waste this final gift Miyabi left her with. She is feeling as if no one truly cares about her. Look at Kamuravi and Ethel. They have snuffed their own flames in the name of freedom of choice. As admirable as the sentiment may be, for Mio, life has value, and hers will be depleted in 2 months. She wants to live and learn with Noah, yet none of this will be possible if they continue to delay the issue, and the frustration of spinning their wheels for so long while she loses the ability to wash a simple plate. Her ability to live life to its fullest got to a tipping point. The despair, similar to M experienced, dawned on Mio that night.
Fine for you, isn't it? All that time you've got. We keep taking this at such a casual pace. Now Sword March seems so distant.
Mia?
What am I even doing? I can't.
You still have 2 months left. If we take care of this now, we can ensure the colony's safety. Just maybe, we can make an ally of people in the castle. It'll make getting to Sword March a bit easier.
Still! It's 2 months. Might as well be nothing.
But you did agree to doing this.
Well, yeah, but I know I did, but
Look, I know it was a snap decision. I understand why you're upset. Let's just take it easy tonight. Take a moment to breathe.
why wouldn't I be upset? Take what easy? We rest today, and tomorrow, before I know it, it'll be time. And then I'll be...
I mean, I get that, but we...
You don't get it! Not at all!
After all, N also thought that he had time to save M back then as well. See, time is a fickle thing. Whenever you need it, there doesn't seem to be enough of it. Mio's concerns are valid, especially when Miyabi told her to keep on living, and in the case that they do fail in defeating Zed, Mio gives Noah Miyabi's flute, just so that her memory can survive just a bit longer. After all, he will still be around, even if Mio dies, to make up for the time Miyabi lost.
Sorry about last night. I was just feeling the pressure.
I should be sorry. I didn't realize. It must be tough for you, I'm sure.
This, belonged to a friend. We served in the same colony. She was my officer partner. Miyabi was her name.
So your officers sometimes work in pairs?
Yeah. You know, I was surprised when you joined in and played alongside me back then. Anyway, one day there was an experiment, and she told me to keep on living, to live life in her stead, to fight on. But the stupid thing is, I was the one who was older than she was.
Now I see. That was...
At its core, Amor Fati is continuing to push the boulder with a smile on your face, even if your ankle is hurting. Nietzsche says, quote, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it. All idealism is mendaciousness in the face of what is necessary, but love it." I want you to realize that even if you were to suffer in eternal agony, you need to hold on to your humanity still. Your conscience is the only thing that you can't give up on in this God-forsaken world. Protect it with your life if you have to.
You feel the anguish, crippling despair. That is the hubris of fools who cling blindly to their hopes, only to find them dashed on the rocks. Of dreamers crushed under the sheer weight of reality, of abject failures.
Say, wanna exchange flutes?
What? But isn't that...
I guess it's a little too icky.
No, I don't care about that. I'm just trying to say...
I just like it to be used a little longer. To make up for the time me Abby lost. You'll still be around after me.
Mio.
She just needed to vent.
She did?
I'm actually kind of jealous.
I get it. All right, it's a trade. You should know. Mine's seen better days too.
Don't worry. I don't really mind either.
Thank you for the chat. I'm kind of surprised.
Surprised?
Even after interlinking, there's still things I don't know about you.
Well, of course. How can you when there are things I don't understand myself? You're not going to pick up on everything.
Gotta put it into words first.
Yeah, but it doesn't always work, even then.
Like last night.
Oh, that. That was me being selfish. But now, I feel like we're starting to get on the same wavelength.
Maybe interlinking just helped that along. To bring us a little closer together.
Maybe, yeah. That might just be it.
This was chapter 4 of my Xenoblade 3 analysis. You can look at the progress we've made so far with this playlist, catch up on the chapters you've missed. And if you want me to make more analysis like this, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.